Welcome to the channel. I'm Tony the Technician. Today we're going to be going into the Harbor Freight website and checking out 10 items I believe are good purchases. So if you guys enjoy this style of video, please let me know down in the comments and I'll work on doing more of them in the future. If you guys have other suggestions as far as other tools at Harbor Freight, please feel free to drop a comment down below. Also, if you have good or bad experiences with any of these 10 items, please drop it down in the comments to help other viewers better decide if it's a good purchase for them or not. But I believe a majority of these are very good tools for the prices and good ones to consider. So the first one up is actually the Quinn 1/4-inch drive SAE and metric master socket set. This is a 54-piece set. They have it available in all 3 drive sizes. I like what they've done with Quinn over the last year and a half. They've really kind of separated the Quinn brand from Pittsburgh, because when they first came out with Quinn, a lot of the stuff was identical or very, very similar to the Pittsburgh lineup, and then they finally gave Quinn their own ratchet design, a kind of a better design. You got a 90 tooth, a little bit slimmer, non-quick releases, and I like what they've done there. But they've also released a lot more just for Quinn, which is really nice, and I like what they've done with their socket sets, both chrome sockets and impact sockets. They've based them off of basically the Tecton sets and the Capri sets, and I think a couple of their impact socket sets are based off the Capri kind of design layout as far as what's included and all of that. And then this one is based off of basically the Tecton 1/4-inch drive socket set. It's also a 54-piece set, and it's really nice because I like those socket sets. The Tecton one, I believe, is $90, so this one's at $50, and you get basically the same coverage. I don't know if this one goes up to 50. No, it doesn't. Tecton used to have a set identical to this where it only went up to 14 millimeter. A year or two ago, they updated it, switched from a Chinese driver like this one, China, Taiwan, whatever, to their USA-made tri-lobe nut driver, bit driver. Then they also added the 15 millimeter in the metric side in both shallow and deep. So that was a nice little upgrade. So they haven't done that with the Quinn, but it's still a good coverage set. I know some people out there really like their 1/4-inch drive sets to go up to 15, but I still think this is really good coverage, and it's one of those socket sets that doesn't include a bunch of junk that you're not going to use. You're not going to use 150 different bits. You're not going to use a bunch of little Allen keys. This is just a socket set. You get what you need in 1/4-inch drive. You get a couple extensions. You get a universal joint, your bit driver, or if you want to throw a socket on there, and then you get a ratchet. Bare bones, what you need. Very nice little set. And just like the Tecton one, the blow molded case is set up the exact same way. You basically have an empty space over here that they've given you to either throw, miscellaneous parts, nuts, bolts, fasteners, whatever you're working on, or you can throw what bits or bit sockets or whatever you may use with this set in there to make it your own. Not just a bunch of stuff that you're not going to use. And just like before, Quinn has their SAE and metric with the striping on it, so you can see, the red for the SAE and the blue for the metric. Overall, I think it's a really good design. They even include a little bit adapter, so if you want to throw just the bits that you're going to use primarily in here, it's a great little design. So I like this. So if you're one that likes the Tecton set, but maybe you're looking at saving a little bit of money, maybe this isn't quite as high of quality, but I think for a lot of people, this is going to get the job done, and it's going to be great coverage. It's got 5/32 to 9/16 in SAE and 4 to 14 in metric, and that is going to include the 4.5 and 5.5, I believe. So that is first up on the list. Next up, we're actually looking at the Icon 1/4-inch drive SAE and metric modular general service socket set. This is a 48-piece set, so a few 6 pieces less than our previous set that we looked at, and the price is, double of what we were just looking at. But I do like what Icon's done here. This is Harbor Freight's top of the line stuff, so whether you love Icon or hate Icon, I like what they've done here. With the whole modular set, it's a nice little blow molded case, but they've kept it simple, just like the previous one. None of that filler junk, just what you need. Sockets, a couple extensions, a universal, and the ratchet. You get both sets have the 90 tooth one, this one obviously being the Icon. But I like what they've done with the EVA foam. So whether this is going to be one that you throw in the truck or take to the junkyard or keep in your toolbox. It's nice because these EVA foam trays come out and you can put them in your toolbox, no problem. They've done a good job of keeping it nice and compact, separated, metric, shallow and deep, SAE, shallow and deep, and just your extensions, ratchet, and universal in another one. So it's 3 pieces. You can lay them out however you want. I don't think these take up, too much space. I think they've done a good job of that. And then when you need to go somewhere and you want to take it, you can just toss these all back in that blow molded case and you're good to go. So while it is, more towards the Tecton and Capri pricing range when it comes to the sets, I don't think it's a bad deal at all. Now, for a weekend warrior DIYer and you don't plan on taking them anywhere, then yeah, maybe the Quinn is a better option. And then if for some reason you don't like the Quinn ratchet, then you can just go out and get the Icon ratchet, which might be $40. So you might be back at the $100 price range, but it all just kind of depends on your situation. I think both are really good sets, and I like what they've done here. This is subjective because some people hate EVA foam, and I understand it. It all just depends on the room and, kind of what you do or plan on using this for in whichever situation you're going to use it for. Next up is the Icon ratcheting retaining ring plier set with replaceable tips. But this is made in the USA, and they're snap ring pliers, a little bit larger set, something to handle a lot of, or a variety of different size snap rings. You got internal and external sets here, different tips at different angles, and set screws for each one. So it's really nice. This is actually, I believe I looked it up, Proto has the same set, but it usually sells for $130 or $140. And after looking at it's the same design, everything is the same as far as what's included, but this one is at a much nicer price point. They compare it to the Snap-on, and maybe that's because they don't want to compare it exactly to what it is as far as the Proto set, but it's still a huge savings over the Proto, $40 to $50 depending on what price you find that at. And so I think this is a really good option for a USA made set. Now, obviously, some weekend warriors and DIYers don't necessarily need to spend that much, but I think those that want a good set, I think this is a really good option. Let me know your guys' thoughts if you guys have experience with this set already, or if maybe you've purchased the Proto one in the past. So next up, we're looking at the Warrior step drill bits, and this is the 3-piece set. You can get singles, you can get doubles, and then you got this 3-piece set. They have a lot more than they used to when I first started purchasing these. When I first purchased this, it was just used at home, and now I use them all the time at work. And granted, I just work with thin sheet metal, but these things actually hold up quite well. One of them I used for over a year before it really started to get dull, and they're fairly easy to sharpen as well. So I kept one for 2 or 3 years, using it on a weekly basis, and finally ended up picking up the Hercules, I believe it was, Cobalt one, and I tried using this. I will tell you one thing. It will most definitely cut much better than these, but with the metal that I work with and how fast these rip through, it's almost too fast and too sharp for with the spiral flute and how sharp it is. I was getting much cleaner and more controlled cuts or drilling better holes with this. Now, maybe if you work with a little bit thicker stuff, or you're really trying to zip through some stuff, then yeah, these would be fantastic. But it's mind-blowing how good some of these cheaper step drill bits are. Now, if you work in like a machine shop, or your job is primarily using these, yeah, this probably isn't going to be great. For the average person, these are going to be just fine. I use them probably more than most average people, and I'm extremely happy with them. Now, I don't use this one over here. I use this middle one every once in a while. My primary one is this one over here on the left, and it works really well. So I just wanted to throw that in. If you guys have experiences with these or any of the other ones that they have available at Harbor Freight, please let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Next up is this Hercules 16-inch largemouth tool bag. So I bought this a couple years ago for one of my buddies that did a lot of junkyard pulls. He would, go out, pull headlights, taillights, mirrors, parts off cars. And I put together basically a bag for him. He's been using it the last couple years. He doesn't do it as much anymore, but he still uses the bag all the time. You can store a lot inside this bag. And I was really impressed when I saw it in the stores with just how durable it is. The zipper on it felt really good. The storage pouch on the front, it's kind of semi-rigid up here at the front. This pocket here, so if you want to throw, nails, screws, whatever you want in there, or if you stick tools in there, it's a great little pouch right there. And there's tons of little pockets around it as well. There you can see the large mouth, the zipper on the inside. It does have a removable center section. That was another thing that I liked. So I could load that thing up with tools and then just drop it right in the center, and then you still have tons of room on the sides and stuff too. There you can see they basically have it just crammed full of stuff. I mean, it holds a lot, and I got to see it this last Christmas, and it seems to be holding up really, really well. And I think for the price, it's a good option. Especially keep in mind that a lot of these things, when you go to Harbor Freight, you can get for a better price simply with coupons or sales going on. There's constantly stuff going on. So if you can't get it at a good price, or the price that you want to get it at this week, wait a week or two. 90% of the time, they're going to have a sale going on or coupons of some sort dropping that you're going to be able to get those items at a better price. There's never really a time that you have to go to Harbor Freight and buy something at the full price. It's very rare. So next up, obviously, got to include the U.S. General 5-drawer service cart, especially in this beautiful purple and this luscious gray and this majestic white. I made those names up, but that was pretty good. Those are my 3 favorites. And I think even at the $280 price range, this is still a fantastic buy. Now, once again, like I just stated, they constantly have sales going on. These are a lot of the time, multiple times throughout the year, you can get these closer to the $200 price range. Now, I get it. Back, 5 or so years ago, these were just at $200, and, you could pick it up. But you can still get them for around the $200 price. But even at the $280, I still think they're fantastic. There aren't really any other service carts out there of this size or quality at this price range. I see tons of junk carts out there that cost more than this. I see tons of cart out there that are very similar to this, that are closer to the $500 price range. The fact that this is still under $300 is a fantastic buy. And I'll know it's not the best quality cart out there, but it's definitely the best one for the price under that $300 price range. There are tons of junk carts over $300. So this is a really good purchase even at this price. But once again, you will always be able to get it for a little bit less if you just have a little bit of patience. Then they got their Daytona 3-ton low-profile Super Duty floor jack with rapid pump. This is in the metallic purple. They also have it in metallic red, orange, and yellow. I'm not specifically saying this jack. I do love the design of this jack. It's a lot beefier, a lot heavier duty than their other jacks. If you haven't seen them in person, comparing this one to the other ones, you can definitely see where this one is the Super Duty compared to the others, whether that the Pittsburgh or any of the others. They've done a really good job. The dual cylinders, the heavy duty wheels, the base plate, I mean, it's all done really well. And they're honestly, a lot of other jacks this size, you're not going to find under $300 out there. So while this is like their most expensive jack, I think even their Pittsburgh and Badland jacks and their other Daytona jacks are all great purchases. I've had this Pittsburgh 3-ton floor jack for, 8-9 years, and it's still going strong. I also have the aluminum 2-ton, and I've had that thing for maybe 2 years now, and it's great. Now, I know its intended purposes, and I'm not going to try and go lift my truck with that, and it's doing great. And then this 3-ton has held up very well. I just really like what they've done here, and a lot of people already know that this is a really, really good deal. So that's just my personal thoughts, but once again, it's not specifically on this jack, just a lot of their jacks in general. Now, they do have some of those cheaper, smaller frame, more travel-sized jacks that are, I don't know much about, but any of their standard floor jacks like this, I think are well worth the purchase. Next up, we're looking at the Grant's Compact Detail Seat, and this is basically, just a rolling seat. Now, I had never seen this one before my buddy came over to wrap my car, and he left his stool here, and I think his is from Performance Tool. There are like 8 brands out there that sell this exact same stool, but some of them vary just slightly. Some of the cheaper ones out there under the $70 price, a lot of them are over, I want to say closer to the $100 price range, and a couple of them over it. There's one that you get a cushion that goes on top, and then there are some cheaper ones that may even still be at this price with smaller, just plastic casters. These are the better of the 2 casters that you'll find from other brands. And this is a little pull-out drawer here that slides in, and then you can remove these side trays as well. This one may have a rubber top over it, which is actually nicer than the one that's here. So I was actually surprised because I'm used to little shop stools or whatnot that have the cushion seat, and a lot of them are just junk because you sit on them for a minute or 2 and that cushion is already deflated, and it's basically like you're sitting on plywood anyways. And this seat has a slight curve to it, and I sat on it for 30 or so minutes just talking, and it was actually quite comfortable, and it's at a good height. Now, this isn't height adjustable or anything like that, but a lot of times with cheaper little shop stools like this with the hydraulic tends to go out. And so I found this one to be a really good height, especially like if you're somebody that just works on a car on jack stands, because a lot of the times the stools either sit too high, just aren't very comfortable to sit on and work on like suspension and stuff while your car's on jack stands. This is like the perfect height. And so while it's not adjustable, I still think it's got really good functionality, and it was quite comfortable for not being a cushioned seat. So I think this is a good one. And if you guys have experience with it, please let me know your guys' thoughts on it down in the comments. So next up, we're looking at the Storehouse 30-bin wall mount parts rack, and this is the one that I have. I think I've had it for about 3 or 4 years now, and it's fantastic. At $20, you can't beat it. They have various different styles, ones that sit on top of toolboxes or workbenches. They have ones that have built-in stands to set on the floor. I like this one because it mounts to the wall. It gets things up out of the way. It's not taking up space on my toolbox or on top of my workbench. It's not in the middle of the floor. Now, granted, you can't just take this whole thing over to wherever you're going, but that's not really what I use it for. The bins are already removable, so if I need one of something or one type of something, then I can just grab that bin or grab a couple bins. A lot of other places will sell this exact same thing for $30 to $50. So the fact that this is still available at $20 is a fantastic purchase. But once again, they do have these other ones available if that's more your style as well. Then last up, we are looking at the newer Predator, them releasing their power stations as Jackery, I believe, is on their way out. Last I saw, they had a bunch of clearances going on for that stuff, so I don't know if they're on their way out, already gone, or if they're just doing a clearance sale for the fun of it. But I do like what they've done with these Predator power stations, and I hope they continue to release more and more offerings. This is the 350 power station, 350 running watts at 294 watt hours for the battery capacity at $200. That's really not bad at all. They compare it to the Jackery at $240. So this does have the LiPo4 battery. There's the display, 700 max starting watts, so you kind of have that surge protection when starting something with a high wattage draw. So you have your DC section, and each section has its own power. So like if you're not needing to run the inverter, you can run DC items on here without having to run the internal inverter. It'll allow you to run those items a lot longer, or the battery capacity will last a lot longer if you don't have to run it through the inverter. And then you also have a single USB-C and 2 USB-As. Now, granted, this is a smaller power station. This is going to be good for, recharging your laptops, cameras, maybe some cordless tool batteries, and some smaller items. This isn't going to be one of those power stations that you run power tools off of, and if you do, it's not going to last very long. But as they release more and more of these Predator power stations, I think they're going to be a huge success, especially if they're able to keep this price point where they're at. Power stations are becoming more and more popular. Those are 10 of the items I believe are great purchases at Harbor Freight. Please let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. If you guys would like to see more of these videos, please let me know, and I'd be happy to make them. And if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.